Hello, fire signs. Welcome to your reading for the month of December 2018. This channel is called The Witching Hour. My name's Michelle and I'm a witch. This reading is to look into the insights offered to us by the element of fire and also for the fire signs of Aries, Leo, and Saggitarius. Sun, moon, rising, and however they place in your chart. However else you are intuitively led to this reading, all are welcome. Here and now, I evoke the elemental force of fire, the flames of creativity and passion, dancing source of heat, light, and life. I seek the glowing forge within, that I might warm myself with desire, excitement, courage, and inspiration. I call you forth to burn away all that impedes my highest vision and to enact change in the world. Lightning and hearth, heart and forge, fire, I call thee hence. I pray that you will be inspired to be your most authentic self and live your most authentic life. To be surrounded by love, security, and freedom. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks for your likes, shares, and subscribes, your comments especially, for all your love and support. The underlying energy of love is nostalgia. The underlying energy of security is rebirth. That feels good. The underlying energy of freedom is the Chariot. So to begin with the energy of nostalgia in the area of love, the energy I get is just that. This is about Venus in retrograde, which has just ended. Still in the shadow period, so still remembering not only what you've learned, but what these lessons pointed to, specific incidents of the past. Particularly ones that weren't so good. Particularly the areas, fire signs, and those seeking the element of fire. Particularly the areas where we have felt, oh, I got this, I understand what's going on. Where we thought we knew better but didn't, is the impression I'm getting regarding the Eight of Coins in the recent past regarding relationships. I thought I knew what this was. I thought I knew what I was doing, how I could do this, how I could go about fixing this, are the words I'm getting. This is all in review. So right now, the present and current energy, according to your time frame and when you see this video, is one of disillusion, the Ten of Swords. This is a reality check. I feel a sense of relief having come from this. You feel that the work is done. The reality check is there. You wanted to know the truth and you got it. Because you're willing to face the truth of the relationship issues, not your part in the relationship dynamics, but more like what part you played in someone else's drama and why mentally you feel you were set up to be just like the right kind of person to be put into this dynamic. Like, what about you? What individual dynamics you possess that you were conditioned with, that you practiced mentally, the thoughts that you practiced mentally, enabled you to play a part in this other relationship dynamic with this other individual who has their own dynamics. So you have like the perfect storm coming together. Some of you are with someone now and going over past mistakes you made with someone else. Going over meaning reviewing them. Possibly what I'm feeling is you reviewing a regret in the relationship. So we're looking at our own individual dynamics, seeing how they play out in a relationship dynamic. Some of us are being awakened by the universe to see our individual dynamics and to eradicate the ones that don't work for us anymore. So I do feel a sense of endings, but I do feel a sense of needing this to happen and wanting this to happen. I feel that there's too much, some of us, or maybe more than some of us, are feeling that we didn't know ourselves well enough. That may be the underlying thing of the whole problem, is this skill set of knowing ourselves. Knowing ourselves. Forced into knowing ourselves now because the relationship dynamics seem to be working against us. And we're realizing that not knowing ourselves well enough and then getting into a relationship is what made it disassemble. Like the relationship just didn't hold together. Or what parts, I should say, what parts of the relationship didn't hold together for some of us. So some of us are looking at our relationship and saying this aspect of it no longer works for me, for either of us. We have to stop. I have to stop doing this, contributing this way that I accommodate this dynamic to continue. I have to stop. I didn't realize how much I was contributing to the problem by trying to fix the relationship. What I should have been doing is looking at myself and getting to know myself better and not focusing on fixing the relationship. That's what I'm getting for some of us. But here we have a newfound sense of emotional security in creating this dismantling on the emotional level where we interact with ourselves and others. How we allow ourselves to be treated is what I'm getting. How we tell ourselves it's okay to go without something that we need. How we convince ourselves that that is true. We are looking back at all of those things. We were pretty good at telling ourselves a nicer story than we should have been. So again, that whole feeling of the reality check. But something in our past wanted us. We called this forth. We wanted to live in the truth. And we called it forth. And so it's like the universe and spirit brought us this awareness that it brought us the truth. It brought us an awareness of the truth about ourselves, about what we really did want, and how much we may have deceived ourselves, for lack of a better expression, into thinking that we're happy with what we have when we really weren't. And we got really good at doing that to ourselves and to the other person, telling them, trying to convince them we're fine, because if we tell them we're unhappy, I'm going to have to acknowledge how I'm unhappy, and that's just too real for me. So avoiding that in the past, avoiding that happening in the past, but knowing that really what you wanted was to be able to speak your truth and say to yourself that you were unhappy. And you had to tell the other person first in order to be able to admit that to yourself. And then once that happened, you were able to feel your sixth sense better. You're able to get into your intuition and go with your gut instinct. So this was a long ongoing process. Over years and years and years it may have been. For some of you, it might have just been a quick relationship in which you realized this long ongoing dynamic was going on in your life, and this short-term relationship is what brought it all to light and got the dynamic going where you changed this dynamic, okay? So for some of you, it's long-term relationships in which you lived this out and it played out over years and years. And for some of you, the dynamic played out over years with shorter-term relationships. And this last one was the one that got you to everything clicked into place and you realized it. But however it played out for us, it played itself out over a long term, regardless of the length or duration of the relationship, okay? Because this was about your soul's journey. That's what you're realizing. It wasn't about the story of us. That's what a lot of you are getting, like, overly sentimentalized. You're done sentimentalizing things. You can't do it anymore. There's no us anymore. It was really all about me in this dynamic. And it was me that needed to heal. It was me that needed to move on and create a new life for myself. It was time to stop dreaming of this future, dreaming of some kind of life. And now it's like this whole thing taught us more to be, okay, when I had what I didn't want, it taught me to wish and dream for better things. And now you're at the point where you are saying, I don't want to dream about better things. I want to have better things. And be me. Be my true self. And have a better life. And I can't do that by fixing the dynamic of a relationship I'm in that shouldn't even be there in the first place. So this has brought you a feeling of such rebirth. This is not the Sun card. This is the Reckoning card. It's the Judgment card, number 20. And the thing of it is that the Sun is there because of a feeling of being reborn. Knowing that this was a very protracted spiritual journey that brought us back to ourselves. This is from the divine, absolutely spiritual journey. There were just some factors in it that were unchangeable. Something that our souls decided, that our physical beings questioned and said, why is this happening to me? I would never have set this up in motion for myself. I wouldn't do that to myself, but we did it by default. We did do it by default. So the epic journey is now over, and we're done looking in the past and dreaming about things. We're done with disillusion. We're done with not listening to our inner self. We're done with that. We long for ourselves. We crave ourselves, and we crave to see our true selves in a relationship. That's where we're at right now. In the recent past, all of this clarity and understanding has come to the fore. You realize how it has shaken the security. Trying to hold on to dynamics that we shouldn't have been in the first place because we felt this is my security, I need to keep it strong, and it wasn't. So dismantling what we think offered us security is what's in the forefront of our mind right now. We've recently just come to that awareness. And that's when we start tapping into our heart. That's when we start tapping into simplifying our lives, is what I'm getting. We're simplifying things because everything was so built up before. So fortified, so reinforced. It felt like constant work, constant building of a structure that really needed to be imploded and just come down. And it may have happened in a small, quiet way. It may have just dissolved. But the bottom line is that, in other words, it didn't explode. It just fell in on itself because you wanted it to. Not that you wanted to hurt people or yourself or harm anyone. It's that you wanted the false sense of security to come crumbling down. You wanted only what was real, and that's what happened. This is at the very center of the reading, and you're living a more heart-centered life now. At least you've just come upon it and come to it. You've come back to yourself. It's been a very long spiritual journey, for sure. Secrets have been exposed. It's mostly secrets that were within you, how you secretly felt and kept your feelings secret all the time because you couldn't accept them. And you couldn't accept them because you knew the people around you would not be able to accept them, and you couldn't live that way anymore. You knew if it was going to cost you the feeling of wanting to be alive, then you knew that that's not working anymore. It's going to cost, and in a manner of speaking, if this dynamic is going to cost me my life essence, and possibly even my literal life, where I just feel like I'm dying and I'm going through the motions of living, then I has to stop, and that's what called it in, was that kind of a very quietly desperate, it was like quiet desperation is what I'm feeling. And this was all the past, because what's coming now is you are now centered in yourself, in your heart. You're done with the past, why it happened. You've done all the work already. You've done it all. You've examined it and you've looked at it. You've looked at your secret feelings. And I feel that in some way, shape, or form, you've restructured your family. For some of you, you have restructured what you want in a family dynamic. You want to start having you want to have a family. You want to be a family. You don't want to just have a family. You want to be a family. You're ready to be a living person. You know what it takes. You understand so clearly now the feminine and masculine energy that creates a true family, even if you are only a family of one. Some of you are a family of one, and you hold the masculine and feminine energy regardless of physical gender. You hold the masculine, divine masculine and feminine energy, counterparts, with love in the center. Some of you have experienced the loss of a child, like an early adult, young adult child, but some of you have found the romance in your relationship again. Some of you have had to go through a loss in order to find each other again. So there's a lost and found element. Some of you have lost yourselves in a relationship and came back to yourself and had to let the relationship go, and now you are a family of one. It is in particular that I'm honing in on that energy of being a family of one. Whether or not all of us are alone, it is the energy and essence of feeling that I am a family of one without feeling. It's like feeling solitary without feeling alone in the abandoned sense, like I'm all alone in the world. It's not like, it's feeling like I am a solitary person, I have my own heart. I have my own feelings. I have my own mind. I have my own thoughts. And yet there's that other who has their own thoughts and feelings. There's just this unilateral understanding of the divine masculine and feminine going on here, this spiritual journey that has taken place. What that is doing for your mobility, your sense of movement in the world, is that it's got you charged up. The underlying energy in freedom, in the area of freedom and doing what we want, is the Chariot. Some of you, and I am seeing a vehicle, so there's a car. There is literal movement, driving away, going towards something, while at the same time pulling away from something. It's just the mobility you needed to get you away from the past and towards your future while remaining present at an emotional and spiritual level. This is where you're at. Movement. But the movement had to start in your heart and your soul. Your soul has been stirred. There's a stirring in your soul. Because you have yet to experience the best part of your life. And this is an absolute truth. This isn't coming from a sense of dissatisfaction. You have had confirmation, either in this reading or just prior to it, that yet from the divine, that yes, you have yet to see the best days of your life. The best is yet to come. This is not coming from a sense of dissatisfaction. This is coming from a sense of purity of soul and heart now. Different. You've never been in this place before. Never been in this place before. Some of you have had to move because you had to just get away from the familiar and what you knew. From this point in your life all the way back to your birth. It's like, I just want to get away from everything I've ever known before and be somewhere new. I almost see you living on an island. That sense of solidarity again, of being your own person, but being a family of one. This sense of unity, solidarity, and yet you know, being one, the sense of being one, a family of one, can take, it can fit, everybody in the world. 8 billion people, however, whatever the count is now. There are that many people who can still feel that they're a family of one. So you've gotten this universal sense of universality, I guess, is the word, and it sets you in motion. And I'm getting the feeling of, remember to pace yourself. Don't go too fast, okay? You're moving, but pace yourself. That's just the feeling I'm getting. The choice is yours. I'm just sending the message to you. And so this couldn't be any more appropriate to go with this card, because the green man is 0.0. 0.0. The instinctive, we want to live by our instincts now. And our instincts have been renewed recently. We are moving forward. I just got dropped into my head the phrase to tell you, you'll get there by Christmas time. To get there by Christmas time. Christmas, solstice, Yule, winter solstice, December-ish, okay? So get there by Christmas time. You want to get there by Christmas time, as it's referred to, okay? You also have the card, presently of the Lord, the divine masculine, again being reiterated. This is the instinctive divine. This is like the all-knowing divine. So this part of you knows at a gut level. This part of you knows at a spiritual, emotional, physical level, okay? Part of you feels, and these, it's like I am seeing you wanting to align these two, your wild and instinctive side along with your knowing side. And you want to be your own authority is what I'm hearing. Especially in love. I want to be my own authority in love. I want to love myself well. I know if I can feel this way about myself and know how I want to be loved, there's another person out there who mirrors that for me, who knows it as well. So there's a lot of faith and hope and belief that you are going to be finding your mirror and wanting to take your instincts on the road with you, is the phrase I just got. Following your heart, no longer following the dreams that don't work. You've put those aside. They're in your rearview mirror. You want to pull away fast from those, but the feeling I keep getting is don't pull away too fast. You know, just keep the momentum going. Get a feel for what it feels like to have your instincts and your knowledge come together driving this chariot. That's what's driving this chariot here. It all seems so figuratively speaking, but I've been given no other way to phrase this reading. So, your instincts and your mind, your soul, your instincts, like your physical, raw human instincts here, and your spiritual instincts over here, are what's driving the chariot. The yin and yang, the black horse and the white horse. The balance, the harmony. Seek the harmony between these two energies, and you will have balance and mobility in where your life is going. I'm being reminded to tell you something that I was given, which is to look within and you will see without. Okay? And what I'm seeing right off the bat here is the card of the Five of Cups. The overarching energy of this card in the tarot is typically that of regret, which you can see. But it's also a challenge to us to say, we're taking, in other words, there are 5 cups here. 2 of them have spilled. 3 remain standing. It's taking the balance of our instincts and our spirituality, our lessons learned, and saying, I still have more now than what I lost. My best is yet to come. These 3 of Cups always stands for celebration. The best is ahead of me. The past and the regret is behind me. The challenge is that some days you'll feel like the regret is before you. And that's what you'll be facing that day or that moment. And you'll forget that you have something to celebrate in the future. And that there were also things to celebrate about yourself from the past. It's almost like looking on the past, you don't see your accomplishments. You only see what went wrong. And it's funny that this is a fire reading, and yet there's so much emotionality and spirituality in it. And air, these signs. There are no fire cards on this table right now. So it's as if the masculine fire energy is being put to use in such a way that it has to be geared by thoughts that have been reconfigured, reformed, driven by the heart, the instincts, and the spirituality in order to gain balance, in order to create harmony that gives us balance in our life, in our moving ahead. And that the challenge will be just for the next little while, not to master and conquer and always force things to try to appear positive and optimistic, but to embrace our feelings, but to not let them overrule us. Because even optimism can sometimes not do us any favors. When we're overly optimistic, it's like taking the fear out of both of those feelings. Taking the fear out of feeling bad. Taking the fear out of, oh, it must always feel good. It can't ever feel bad. Looking back on the past especially. Taking the fear out of that. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Just look back and feel your feelings and move ahead. Because that is what's happening in your life. And the 5s, as in the 5 of Cups, is the card of change, the number representing change. 5 is change. So it's always keeping the balance of, I gained more than I lost. Trying to keep that attitude. And yes, I can look at what I lost, but it won't overshadow everything. I can look at what I've gained and yet still know I may lose some things. I may take some risks. I may lose stuff down the road, but I can't prevent. It's like the rest of my life is not going to be damage control. And to stop looking, and we get to a place where we stop looking as if the rest of our lives is damage control, preventing ourselves from getting hurt anymore. But instead, following our physical instincts and spiritual instincts, which are centered inside of our heart and our soul, we can feel it in our bodies, and it clarifies our mind. It always gives us the right frame of mind with which to work, and it gives us the right motivation to move forward. It keeps that momentum in balance. So that's what I'm getting from these cards. I'm going to end the reading with a card from the deck of Witch's Wisdom, Oracle cards by Flavia, Kate Peters, Barbara Michael John Free, illustrated by Richard Crooks. I'm not going to read from the book. I'm just going to channel the message from the card. The underlying energy is that of power, coming back into your power. Yes, because it's balanced power now. So, and that's why Spirit, it's the card, the overall card of Spirit and initiation, which is why everything on this table has so much purple in it. And why this is all about spirit. And it is about seeing your own power and balancing that with the power of your love. The power of your love is what's going to fuel the tank of this vehicle that's going to move ahead. So sorry for the analogy, but that's what it is. The power of love. You're being initiated into the power of your own love, and that your love can drive your life. It can. Love is your fuel, and that's that. That's the final bottom line of everything. Love is the fuel. Hope you enjoyed your message. If you'd care to donate or arrange a personal reading, the links are in the drop-down box below. I'll see you very soon for your romantic love reading, fire signs. And I give thanks to the element of fire for this message for all of us. Until we meet again, from my soul to yours, much love and brightest blessings. Bye-bye.